I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. Let the rain wash away all the pain of yesterday. I know my came down the way, and there's forgiven none. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. I'm coming
Welcome to Awakening Hearts Radio. My name is Tess Vergara. I am your radio host. I'm so glad to be here today. It's such a fine day here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I am a certified strategic interventionist and awakening coach. And what I do is I help people on the awakening path get their shift together. I was an accountant for over 25 years. And if someone had told me before that I'd be an awakening coach today and do crazy things like talk on the radio that I'm doing like right now over the internet and also do live videos on Facebook, I would have told you then you've completely lost your mind. But guess what? It is I. I was the one who completely lost my mind. And if you've been resonating with this radio show, perhaps you too have lost your mind. It feels good, right? It feels good to lose your mind, completely break free, break loose, and have this freedom of expression. We love our minds. I always tell my clients we do not make our minds wrong. Yes, they make life a little difficult sometimes because when the mind gets really active and get into a fearful state, it can be a force to reckon with. But we're not making our minds wrong, but we know better now as awakening hearts to lead with our spirit, to lead with our hearts, and then instruct our mind how to make manifest that which is in our highest alignment with our soul. And that's why my business is called Open Heart Mind Coaching. You can find me at www.openheartmindcoaching.com. Yeah, because at some point in life, I couldn't be an accountant anymore. I couldn't do my job. A simple thing that I could do in 5 minutes, I could do it in my sleep. I couldn't do it anymore for some reason that was unknown to me at that time. I was procrastinating so bad. I felt that I was the most irresponsible employee. I was the biggest fraud of all, and all the harshest judgments that I could ever say to anyone, I gave to myself. It's like, so it drove me nuts. So I don't know, share with me your experience. I'd love to hear it. Have you had that experience of being pulled in different directions and trying to control it and trying to put it all together, trying to appear all put together, right? We dress up, we put on, we have this pretense that we've got it all together. But really deep inside, you can't control it, and there's that feeling of helplessness, there's that feeling of out of control, and to the point of burnout and mental exhaustion and emotional breakdown. Well, that was my experience. That was me. My first encounter with depression was 11 years ago. That was the year I turned 40, and then I thought, I could figure it out, I'm smart, I can make it happen. I was so used to making things happen by the power of the willpower, by just muscling through it. And then years later, even then, I was on this emotional roller coaster. I thought I had it all under control and that I could do it all. And yet I woke up to a very terrifying experience years later, to losing control and really not knowing who I was anymore. And that's why I do this radio show, Awakening Hearts radio show, to help ease the worries of the mind. People can really get trapped in the workings of the mind. And this radio show is really to help you not get into overwhelm and confusion. And you can really navigate your awakening journey, this journey, away from judgment, away from fear and self-blame and all that, right? And so at this point, I just want to give a shout out to my producer, Sprinkle, who's with me on the show, and also Peg. Hi. And really want to thank you for doing this, for seeing this vision for me and really supporting me when really seeing that I have the voice when I thought I didn't know what to say. I was like, an hour is too long to talk. Oh my God, I can't talk. I can hear myself saying extra letters. An hour is too long to talk. There you go. And I said, I don't know what to say, but they saw it happen. They offered me this show. And so thank you so much for the trust and confidence when I didn't have it inside of me. It's kind of like coaching, right? When I'm coaching people, they really don't have the confidence yet and trust in themselves. And I just stand there, and that's what Peg and Sprinkles did for me. And now I can't stop yakking. And secondly, I want to thank Sprinkles and Peg and everyone at Off the Cuff Radio for their vision and all they do in support of the awakening and ascension of consciousness that the world is now experiencing, and really making sure that people are getting support and resources. Do check out Off the Cuff Radio. They have 4 shows and 1 coming up in September, and it's all about the awakening our hearts to our deepest core, to who we really are at core. So our topic today is self-love versus self-care versus self-respect. Yeah, for me, self-love is best described. I'm just going to read this poem by Rumi. If you want the moon, do not hide at night. If you want a rose, do not run from the thorns. If you want love, do not hide from yourself. And really, for me, that really describes self love. If you want to get it, get out of your own way and be the love that you seek. It took me a while to create the distinction between self love, self care, self respect. And over the years, coming out of depression into really standing for myself, into really knowing who I am, and really be firm, be this totality of who I'm becoming. Self-love really has evolved into soul love, because at some point you can't deny the calling of your soul. The walls of protection, the illusion of safety, has to crumble. It kept you safe before, and on some level, it also created the necessity for self-care and self-respect, right? The walls of protection were the ones that necessitated self-care, self-respect, self-love. Why? Because it's this same mechanism of keeping us safe was actually trapping us when it's coming from fear and survival. Okay, so when the foundation of it is coming from fear and survival, it's actually suffocating us from feeling fulfilled. It's kept us small, and the whole world, right? We can feel the energy of the people, of all of us, like no more being small. That's what awakening is all about, right? No more to the insults to the soul. And why? Because you're a beautiful spirit whose very nature is to grow and expand and actualize your soul's highest potential. We are not meant to be boxed in by the mechanisms of the mind. And each time, I'm sure you've experienced this, each time you achieve a potential, like it was just an idea in the head, it was just some inkling, it was just some yearning, and then you achieve it. And the more you step into more potentialities to be explored and to make come true. So there really is no fixed point or fixed reality or fixed definition of who we are. We are constantly seeking our highest expression and evolution. And to keep us trapped in the illusion of safety and the walls of protection that we keep to not get hurt anymore, to not experience failure anymore. To me, that is the very definition of original sin. It's everything that you're doing to work against yourself. And you can say, self-love is an antidote for self-sabotage, right? Because at some point in life, we're going through, we're going against ourselves. We're betraying ourselves. We're self-abandoning, right? It would feel like that, and the more we do, the more we self-sabotage, the more we deplete our energy, resources, our strength, right? It's like we get into this cycle of beating ourselves up, and it doesn't feel good, right? And self-sabotage is like, it feels like we're going against our true nature, and our nature is limitlessness. But at the same time, self-sabotage in itself has a higher intention of bringing us back to center, and I'll get more into that in a little bit. But I just want to emphasize that our very nature is joy. Our nature is love. And everything else is a mental construct meant to confine us into a box, to keep us safe. And then we believed it, and we'd forgotten who we are. And now, it's time to wake up, and we have woken up. And this radio show is meant to just keep reminding us to keep waking up, because the waking up is a series of events or series of experiences. It's not, oh, I'm awake, I'm done. We're going to continue to wake up to even more higher expressions of who we are. So it's a continual process. It's a constant, continuing, ever evolving process that we are. So, and who we are is infinite. It's so amazing to get into this space of realization that, one, we cannot be boxed in anymore. I'm seeing some messages here. Oh. So, okay. Yeah, we need to get rid of doubtful words too. Thank you for that comment. Yes. Let me just double check on Facebook how we're doing. Hello, hello, hello. All right, so Sprinkles will notify me if there are any comments on Facebook that I need to go to look at. Yeah, so here we go. So self-sabotage, I started talking about self-sabotage. We go against ourselves, we hurt ourselves, right? And so to stop the self-sabotage process, right, we start in the coaching industry, in the healing arts, in the therapy. How do we stop self-sabotage? So now it's all about self-love, self-care, right? In the beginning for me, it was self-respect. And I thought I was, anytime something happens that, I would disconnect from an experience that didn't feel that felt disrespectful. I thought I was loving myself. No, you can't do that to me. I demand self-respect. And I thought self-respect was self-love. Not true. There was more that was wanting to come out of me than just, or wanting to be birthed rather than just self-respect. And then I also went through a pattern of, not even going to the bathroom to relieve myself. That's an example of where we might not take care of ourselves because work was more important, right? That's just one example of how we self-abandon and how we self-sabotage. Not going to the bathroom, which is self-care, right? Primary self-care. But what do? We hold it in until we burst. So anyway, on a higher perspective, there is really no such thing as self-sabotage. And I've come to look at self-sabotage as our higher self mechanism to course correct and make adjustments and reconciliations. At the time of it, it doesn't feel good, right? And sorry for the accounting terms, reconciliation, but that's really what I help with my clients, is to help come to that place of reconciliation and integration in themselves, so they can finally have the love that they are yearning for, right? And they may not say the word love to me. They might say peace. They might say abundance. They want more money. They want more. What really they're looking for is more of themselves to show up. Whatever it is that you're looking for in life, whatever your goal is about, is really about experiencing more of who you are, right? So that's where reconciliation and integration comes in, to take care of this self-sabotage. Why do we do this pattern of self-sabotage, right? So on a deeper level, whatever it is that we're yearning for, we can get from self-love, except we're looking for love in all the wrong places. We're looking for peace of mind in all the wrong places. We're looking for abundance in all the wrong places. In other words, we're looking for it externally when it is really self-love. So self-sabotage has a higher intent, has a positive intention of bringing us back to center, bringing us back to an awakening, bringing us back to a remembrance, right? We had to go through a pattern of self-sabotage to reveal in our human experience the many aspects and places where there's separation and conflict. So you can remember what fullness is. And fullness is your nature. And when you come into this remembrance or longing, like all of a sudden you're longing for something. Oh, I am meant to be more than this, right? That remembrance will lead you back to wholeness. It's so amazing to tap into, to really tune into many dimensions and aspects of ourselves. And with the awakening journey that we are on, it's all coming together into our fulfillment, our highest expression. And for me, without having gone through depression and relationship conflicts and dark night of the soul, I would never have understood this process I call reconciliation. And I apply it to myself, like really reconcile the ledgers of my life, to reconcile where I felt broken, unseen, and cut off from the whole. For a long time, for the longest time, ever since I can remember, I felt like I didn't belong. And for the longest time, I did this bargaining with God. Please just take me back. Why did you bring me here? So, again, it's a series of waking up, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon unless I'm dead. But what I realize is I don't have to die to be with my maker. I don't have to die to experience heaven on earth. And you are really create that heaven on earth. Isn't that exciting? The world is waking up. And by us coming together in ourselves, remembering who we are, having done all the work to reconcile in the many aspects and many parts of us that were once fighting, arguing with each other, now they're at peace, all these many parts inside ourselves, our many dimensions all coming together in unison and in perfect union, harmony. That's what this whole awakening journey is all about. And now we can show the world how it's done, how to live life from unconditional love. I'll call it whatever it is, but whatever it is that is a higher expression you are, or you let that full permission be, your soul is meant to be. That's it. Call it self-love, call it unconditional love, call it heaven on earth, whatever that is for you, whatever brings you joy and yumminess, that's it, right? It's all just a bunch of words, but it's the energy underneath it that's important, the energy of vitality and vibrancy and all that good stuff. So this process, this awakening process, the slow unraveling of lifetime, or lifetimes upon lifetimes, accumulation of lies and distortions and separation that blocked us from seeing our worth, seeing our truth, seeing our value, whatever that is, that prevented us from fully shining our light. This is our work, awakening hearts. That's just living ordinary lives. For me, it's just day-to-day life of breathing and being myself. So, self-love. I mentioned earlier, I came to this realization I don't need to die to be with my maker. It was a huge breakthrough for me because on some level it sounded like abandonment. And it was, because I could see the many times I was doing people pleasing, giving up my power to make someone else happy, not knowing that I was abandoning myself. It was just a series of self-sabotage that one by one I was able to filter through and peel away. It's a peeling process. All this is not mine anymore. I don't want to engage in this energy anymore. So it's a peeling process of unlayering what is no longer who we are. And really, what I thought was, let me explain. There was this exercise that I was doing for my clients. This was in 2016, so 2 years ago. I launched my Unlocking the Heart of Money, Harmonizing the Chakra program. And one of the exercises that I had done before with my coaches, but redid with my own class, was the 7 layers of why. And I started with the intention, or what was the outcome I wanted to create. And please do ask yourself that. Also, do this exercise with me as I'm explaining it. What is the outcome you want to create or experience? And I said on Facebook Live, for heaven's sake, I wanted to make such and such amount of dollars. And so why? Why do you want that outcome? Why? To help more people. Why? Why do you want to help more people? Why? To fulfill my purpose. Why? So I can die. Can you believe it? I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was done with that dying business. Okay. Well, it was shocking to me to still hear myself say that, but I went with it. Okay, so I can die. Why? Why do you want to die? So I can go to heaven. Why do you want to go to heaven? So I can be with my maker. And bam, that was my biggest breakthrough. It took a while to reconcile from that thought, from that recognition, from that realization, to actually bringing it into the physical, because the physical is dense, right? Or there's still some actions or habitual patterns that I was going through to prove that I could never be with my maker. Does that make sense? So it was a constant practice of mastering my thoughts, mastering my emotions, mastering my actions to reconcile to that realization that I can be with my maker right here, right now. I don't need to die. And what I really desired was more than the money and more than dying. It was really this union within myself, a merging of all my aspects, my human aspects and my divine aspects, so that they're not fighting anymore, so that there's not that struggle inside of me anymore, that internal conflict that felt like hell, right? I was done living in hell, and hell, it's like it wasn't even something that I was suffering through externally. I had a great life. It wasn't something that I could pinpoint to. It was an internal suffering, and it was an internal hell. And it was like, oh my God, I don't have to die. I am all that I am. I am the Spirit of God in human form. I am. And again, it took, it's now 2018. This huge breakthrough for me happened in 2016. And it happened as I was stepping into leadership. It was so amazing. It was such a breakthrough. It was an explosion of the barriers of the mind. And so all this concept that was taught to me and was embedded in my psyche and never knew what it really meant, it all finally hit me at the core level. It made sense. It was like a body, mind, spirit alignment. So, yeah. And then funny thing was, even though I had that realization, okay, I can stop praying today. I was so aware of the many thoughts and patterns. I was still doing that. So I was just doing all the self-love, self-honoring, and for me, self-love is really stopping self-judgment, stopping self-blame, stopping this disconnection with myself, and really honoring what was present with me. Okay, I want ice cream. Okay, I'm gonna have ice cream, right? It's this honoring of really honoring who I am, and stop listening to the dictates of the external world. And so even though I was listening to myself, I want to die, I'm still praying, I want to die. I'm honoring that and really loving that part of me that was expressing desire to die, and really educating that part of me. You don't have to die anymore, baby. You don't have to die anymore. I'm here for you. I love you, and I want to honor you, and I want to celebrate you. All right. So it really meant more purging and more reconciliation and more purification, more alignment with my thoughts, words, and deeds, all coming together, aligning two polar opposites of me, the human fear-based mind, the higher self, the Christ consciousness, unity consciousness, whatever you want to call it, love consciousness. So we'll be back for more after a quick short break. We'll be right back. Please don't go away. We're talking about self.
Has made my life so beautiful. And every day of my life is filled with love and you. Love and you. I feel the sun come shining through. And every time that we
song. Thank you so much, Sprinkles. It's like you can sing that to your, the part of you that's still in resistance, that's not wanting to choose this consciousness of unconditional love, the one that is so tired, it's so exhausting to go there, Taz. No, loving you. Oh my God, that's so good. La 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 la. All right. So, yeah, we don't have to die anymore to experience heaven on earth. It is available now. And you, Awakening Hearts, are pioneers to teach the world how to experience heaven on earth right here, right now. And the only thing is if we are ready and willing to choose it, right? So not many people choose this consciousness, and that is okay. That is okay. It's not a race. We all were at that place where we have an awareness of wanting it. An awareness of we should be loving, that we should be kind, that we should be grateful, but all the shooting has first to go. So it's all it's a journey, right? And it's not a linear journey. It's we're doing it even though we don't know that we're doing it. So don't worry about people who may not be on board with it. Just know that they too have their own higher self guiding them in this process. And what we can do is just open up to this beingness of the love that we are, right? This is it. We are it. Okay, so I have the inspiration behind today's topic, self-love versus self-care versus self-respect, is I had a client come to me, and the first thing she told me was, yeah, I'm really, really good at self-love. And I'm like, okay, good. She was just talking and talking and talking, and just, agreeing with her and saying, yes, right, that's great. And then there was a point in the conversation, she was doing juicing, she was doing yoga, she's led many seminars herself, she's doing the work, right? She's done the work. And yet there was something that I said that had her cry, because she was still feeling verbally abused by people around her. And at some point she cried. And I kept digging. The process of coaching that I do with my clients is really digging out the weeds, excavating what is no longer in alignment with the love that you are. Anything that is not love, I'm plucking it, of course, with the person's permission. So she was crying. And at some point I asked her, have you forgiven yourself? And she said, no, that's the hardest thing for me to do. Well, that's what self-love is. Forgiving yourself for any expectations that didn't come through. Forgiving yourself for all the perceived failures and mistakes you've ever done. Forgiving yourself for judging yourself. Forgiving yourself for not loving yourself when you are dying for that love inside of you. Forgiving yourself for all the self-sabotage patterns that you were doing, and you're not doing it to be bad at yourself, right? It's at some point we were at that survival thing, and we didn't know any better. if we did know better, we would have done something better, right? So forgiveness is key to self-love. You can do self-care, you can do juicing, you can do exercise, you can read a lot of books, you can feed the mind, feed the soul. All that is self-care. But really, the first piece into the reconciliation is self-forgiveness. Now, it's not going to look like that right away. Oh, I forgive myself. You really cannot cheat your subconscious. And I'm remembering a conversation with another client where I said to her, you can read all the yummy affirmations in the world, but your subconscious knows that it's a huge jump, that you're lying to yourself right now, saying, I am abundant, I am abundant, I am abundant. When, there's a part of you that says, liar, 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 pants of fire. Right? So there's no alignment yet. On some level that you're still out of integrity. And I'm saying integrity not from, I am my word, or, I said this, therefore I am doing it, and you're going to do everything in your power to just make true that. That's called pride. That's not integrity. Integrity is knowing how to realign yourself back with your soul and not beating yourself up for your failed promises. Again, forgiveness is key here. Huge part of self-love is self-forgiveness. And yes, it is a difficult process for anyone because we have been programmed to guilt ourselves to live in regret, to live in that is a dream, that is a vision, and I can never have that. That enlightenment is just for the saints and the sage, right? So we were bombarded with messages that we are not worthy to be that. And so we've come into this pattern of self-sabotage, flagellation, beating ourselves up, because on one hand, we know we're better. On the other hand, we can't do it. So we're out of alignment with our intentions and our actions, our intentions and our behavior. So the first part would be acceptance. Before we can take responsibility for our creation. Again, the word responsibility can be used against us. And that's what I was talking about in the beginning. I was a most irresponsible person because I know I should be doing it. I wasn't doing it, and it was just value of my own self-blame and self-judgment. So the first part to self-love is really coming into acceptance. Okay, there's something going on here. Just accept that, and then just become aware of it. And then stop the blaming pattern, stop the judgment pattern, and really come into this non-judgment, zero self-judgment policy. And you will go back to judging yourself. But once you come into the awareness that you are judging yourself, come back to non-judgment. That's all, right? Oh, I was judging myself. And then what was happening was, because I was so aware that I was judging myself, I was judging myself for judging myself. Like, oh my God, it was like a never-ending pattern and cycle of self-judgment that was what led me to depression. What is depression? Is lack of self-expression. Because the more I was judging myself, the more I was stopping my own growth and expansion, and I was just creating blocks after blocks of this wall of separation that I was talking about. I was really isolating myself out, and was living in shame and degradation. Whew, all that is heavy stuff. So what I'm saying is self-love is coming into that acceptance of who you are, and then self-approval. Like even though you're making mistakes all over the place, stop judging yourself and come into a place of approval. Because why? We're really longing deep inside for that recognition. We're really longing deep inside to be seen for who we are, you know, and it comes out as unhealthy when it comes out, because we have all these needs, right? According to Tony Robbins, 6 human needs, right? We have a need for certainty. We have a need for uncertainty, which can be surprises, fun, variety. We have a need for significance, and that's why people have all, a big car, certifications on the wall, right? We need significance. We need love and connection. So those 4 things are the first 4 human needs, and those are the needs of the personality, or I would say the needs of the ego. Okay, so we need to help our ego to mature. A lot of teachings out there go against the ego. I work from the principles of no parts left behind. We're loving the mind, we're loving the ego. And when we can assist the ego into maturing, it then can align with our self, with our higher self, with our soul. So give in to where it is lacking certainty, where it's lacking significance, variety, fun, where it's lacking love and connection. Wherever it is that's lacking, give it to yourself. The self in you that's knowing it's meant to be more, but has been made wrong. Don't be that, don't do that, right? Don't be too loud. Don't cry, or I'll give you something to cry about, right? We've been told no for so long that we believe that that's who we can ever be. And yet there's a part of you inside of you that knows you can be more, right? So I am talking to the part of you that knows deep inside of you, I am so much more than this. And you standing behind that part of you that's longing to be much more than this, that is self-love. Am I making sense? The part that has always known you never fit in here, you never belong here, that you made yourself quiet and small and not wanting to confront or disrupt someone's perception of you, that is because we've been made to feel small and look small. And that's why you don't rock the boat, right? That's why you don't want to confront anyone, because it doesn't feel safe, and or you don't feel supported. And if you raise your voice, then you will lose the love of the people around you, not knowing that they're really pushing your buttons so you can come home to you. Oh my gosh, it's really a web, like a spider web. Oh my God. If you look at this line here, it'll lead to this line here. So it's an unraveling process. This self-love is an unraveling process. So forgiveness, acceptance. Yeah, how can you accept yourself? Well, first, it's not even a first, right? It's all things that has to be in place, and you can stop here. You can start with acceptance, or you can start with forgiveness, or you can start with this and that. Just do something that will lead you to self-love, right? And the big distinction too is self-care and self-respect all lead to self-love too. You cannot have self-love if you're not taking care of yourself. if you're not respecting yourself, if you're not approving yourself, if you're not trusting yourself, right? So these are all components of self-love. And really, self-love is you, the totality of you. Let me just see what's going on here. All right. Hi, welcome, Peg. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay, so this is really a self-love is deeper and bigger than what's, you should love yourself, self-love, do this, do that. It's really a huge process. And what I can just ask you or recommend to you, Awakening Hearts, is to be gentle with yourself, to really support yourself in this process, because no one else will. No one else will, really. And whenever we depend on someone else, that whatever that is that we're standing on, that will be taken away. That's what awakening journey is. Anywhere there's a crutch, anywhere that we're borrowing our energy from something, all of a sudden they don't work anymore. And that's why the willpower at some point doesn't work anymore. Why? Because you are meant to really love yourself enough to connect back with your true source of power. And that's the beauty of our community here at Awakening Hearts Radio, because you made your alignment and your integrity your highest priority, and commitment is in a long journey, right? And thank you so much for being stubborn. I believe that's how the world looks at us, right? We're so stubborn, we're crazy, we're weird, we're so woo. But on a soul level, you were not stubborn, right? You're just being obedient to your soul, and nothing else matters but your highest integrity with your soul. And at some point, we stop caring what other people think of us. That is empowerment right there. Like, I don't care what you think. Really, we do, but it kind of it's a transcendent care. Like, it's the non-attachment. And when I say I don't care, it's the non-attachment, but on a higher level, right? Because we do care at a deeper level. Otherwise, we won't be doing the work. Because really, we're doing the work to lift consciousness, to raise the vibration on the planet, teach people how love is done. Right? We're doing this. And thank you for no longer willing to sacrifice yourself, your soul liberation, no longer willing to abandon yourself, because you learned the lesson, right? At first you had to abandon yourself. At first you had to do the patterns of self-sabotage to bring you back to you. It's like saying all roads lead to Rome. Doesn't matter what you're doing, you cannot mess it up. But we didn't know then, right? We didn't know until we went through the experience of it and become wiser and wiser as we become bolder and bolder and taking steps to liberate our soul. And that is awakening. It's a call to self-mastery. And the challenge for us is to keep our level of awareness high, to keep the self-realization really going, right? To really trust in who we are. And it's becoming stronger and solidifying. First, what was solidified before was years and years of enlightenment, lifetime of self-doubt and separation from who we are, right? But now we're exercising our muscles. It's a practice. First, it's a practice, and it becomes mastery of mastering where our mind is, mastering where our thoughts are, mastering where our emotions are, and really breath by breath coming into perfect alignment with who we are. And again, it's perfect from a human perspective, but perfection of the intelligence, because we're not doing this on our own. We're doing this in conjunction, in cooperation, in collaboration, in co-creation with a higher power that is us and expressing us. Us is that union that I'm talking about, is the divine merge of all of our aspects, right? Our ego and our soul merging together, our ego self or mind or whatever you call our lower self, whatever that is. There really is no low or high. We're all one, but we're just coming together. All many dimensions and expressions of us coming together in unison and in one expression of who we are. And in that oneness, we're finding that we are also each other. Oh, amazing and mysterious at the same time. This thing called self-mastery, this thing called self-realization, this thing called self-actualization of who we are, right? So anyway, just want to remind you, my website is www.openheartmindcoaching.com. If you have any questions, you can email me at tess@openheartmindcoaching.com. Open Heart Mind Coaching. And you can also create or post comments on the Facebook Live, or connect with anyone who's willing to talk about awakening, right? Who's willing to talk about self-love. Because I hope you're getting that what I am learning self-love is this total empowerment for you, for your life to be as magnificent as it was meant to be. It's your soul potential. It's the seed of your potential in your soul. And we don't know what that is until you, my dear awakening heart, step into it and be it. And you can be whatever that is. It's like I got tangled up into what is my purpose, what is my purpose, what is my purpose, until boom, I woke up and just realized I can be whoever I want, whatever it is that I want to experience in every moment. It doesn't have to be a huge purpose. But really, underneath it all, what it boiled down to was wherever I was feeling unloved or unlovable, that was my purpose, to find out where I can, to remove barriers that was stopping me from feeling the love that I am, the self-love. It's not selfish, it's self-love. Underneath where I was feeling unsupported or unworthy or undeserving or feeling broken, bad or wrong, or feeling wherever I was feeling shame or even powerless, which was a different concept for me, because I saw myself as always being able to do what I want. And then I came to a point where I couldn't do anything anymore. I was paralyzed, right? So that self-love, removing, dismantling, unraveling anything that is stopping you from being you, from being your highest expression. Any behaviors that may be supporting, the victim mentality, the core hurt, the core separation, whatever that looks like, that is self-love. To heal, healing means integrating. It's bringing all your many parts together. That's what healing is. Healing the dark side, the light side, bringing it together, whatever you call it, right? Wherever there's dissonance or disharmony in you, that is healing. It's bringing it together. It's bringing it back into harmony, bringing it back to wholeness, right? So we've got 1 minute. I really just want to thank you all for joining here. Self-love is not complete without self-care and self-respect, self-approval, self-acceptance, self-trust. So it's all about coming back into the self, loving and accepting every inch of you. And wherever you are trying to prove who you are, that proving proves that you are not feeling, that you are not loving yourself, that you are not seeing your value, that you're not owning all of who you are. All right, so with that, thank you so much for joining me. Stand in your truth. Do whatever it takes to come in highest and deepest alignment to the truth that you are love. Thank you so much. I love you all. Tess Vergara, Open Heart Mind Coaching. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.